Today, I'm Thomas Manglona reporting on Saipan. Thank you for joining us for another episode of CNMI Weekly.
This convention will come to order.
Nearly 2,500 delegates from across the nation are in Milwaukee. This morning, former President Donald Trump and his vice presidential running mate, first-term Senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance, were formally nominated to lead the ticket in November. Guam and CNMI each cast their 9 votes for Trump.
We send a warm hafaday and sejuus maasi from the great territory of Guam, where America's day begin. Itano iman samoro.
The home of the newest Marine Corps base, Camp Blas, and over 20,000 members of our armed forces, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force, and over 23,000 veterans.
So, Madam Chair, the great territory of Guam proudly cast all 9 of its votes for President Donald J. Trump.
We are so proud to cast all of our votes for our President,
Donald J. Trump!
KUAM spoke with both Guam and CNMI RNC delegation chairs after they joined the roll call vote.
The energy is great. There's a lot of excitement when you consider all that happened in the last few days, of course, out in Pennsylvania with the attempted assassination. People are very grateful that he will be here. And, we're just looking forward to the convention.
I was really not 100%, to be honest, sure about Trump before I came here. But now I can say that I am convinced he's the best president for America. The platform is, very good, solid.
Back at home, Guam Republican Party Chair Sean Gumatataw said the party is also sharply focused on the local race.
I've been communicating with the RNC chairman, Michael Watley, that the focus for Guam needs to be to win the elections up and down the ballot. Our strategy has been to get everyone out to vote, to include early voting, as a big push from the party.
An arrestee came in, and on his person, after conducting a thorough shakedown or search of his person and his belongings, my staff retrieved approximately 111 grams of crystal methamphetamine.
The discovery of the drugs with a street value of just over $30,000 happened Thursday night in the DOC booking area.
His name is James Camacho. They had a bench warrant out for him. The individual didn't show up for drug court, and DPS brought him in.
This is the second drug bust this week. In a separate case on Tuesday, Customs held a press conference after they found crystal meth hidden in a portable speaker that was mailed from California to Saipan. Law enforcement has this message to the community.
If you see something, say something. Your assistance can help us make a difference, a huge difference in keeping our community safe.
The Marianas Visitors Authority is asking for a $12 million budget from the legislature to rebuild the CNMI's tourism economy, while the governor's proposal offers just a third of that. But if we build it, who will come?
We have fewer flights, fewer air seats from Korea compared to pre-pandemic. But as you can see, there's a big hole once filled by China. Direct flights from mainland China have not resumed since the pandemic, and we have only 2 weekly flights from Hong Kong. This is due in large part to the suspension of Annex 6. Thank you, Senators, for the support of the reinstatement of Annex 6, which would allow us to no longer compete for direct flights against a much larger destination in the mainland.
MVA speaking with senators at a Fiscal Affairs Committee hearing. While South Korea dominates with 76% of the market, Japan and China lag far behind.
The Japan market is a lot softer. Globally, it's a lot softer than China and Hong Kong. So the arrivals from Hong Kong do surpass the arrivals from Japan.
The MVA says direct flights from China would help amid the costly indirect routes and competition. Sofia Perez, a filmmaker from Saipan now living in the Bay Area, is part of the Pacifica Entertainment Advancement Committee's inaugural Writers Fellowship supported by Netflix. She's one of 6 emerging Pacifica writers who will get a boost to their television writing journey. Perez told KUAM about her proposed script for what she's calling Planet Oakland.
It's another kids show, but the script that I turned in is called Planet Oakland, and it's kind of like the premise is sort of similar to Men in Black, except for the focus is on one of the alien families that moves to Oakland and has to like be low key about the fact that they're aliens, and then also try and like fit in. And it's mostly about the 12-year-old younger brother. His name is Corned Beef, and he's like has to try and go to middle school and adjust.
Perez was born in Oakland and is a PhD student in UC Berkeley's geography department. She recently directed Island Time, a Chamorro children's show, and is directing a documentary about the resistance to the military buildup in the Marianas. She shared the inspiration for her script under the fellowship.
Coming back to the Bay from Saipan was like a whole almost like reverse culture shock, you know? And then also so many people in my family immigrated to the Bay, right? Mostly in my grandpa's generation. So there's all these stories to pull from, and there's so many immigrant stories in general that I think don't really get told in kids shows that often.
Perez will be mentored by fellow Pacific Islander Naomi Scott with Great Scott Productions. Perez has this advice for aspiring writers.
Use our network, you know? It's there, it's real. There's so many people that want to see more of these stories, and there's so many people that are down to like give you a leg up.
My name is Sarah Fagree, and I'm the primary investigator for the University of Washington's Mariana Crow Recovery Project, and also a research associate for the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, working on Rhoda.
Great. And so we got some really great news that DLNR pushed out over the weekend about the aga population. Basically, it's on the path to being delisted, and there's some promise now, right?
Yeah, we've seen incredible results from this rear and release program that began in 2015. I've been on Rhoda since 2009, I started off with the University of Washington, and now I'm working for both the zoo and University of Washington. But when I first arrived on Rhoda, there were only 46 pairs, and now we're up to 71. And that is largely due to the rear and release program that has increased the production of crows, released them back into the wild, and had a really high survival rate.
And so can you explain what that process has looked like since 2015, what the day-to-day is, how many people are on the ground, really what does it take to get to where we're at now?
Yeah, so for the rear and release program, this is a really good species to do this kind of recovery effort with, because they can breed nearly year-round, and most of their nests in the wild fail, but they re-nest over and over again. So this gives us an opportunity to collect eggs or small nestlings from wild nests, take those into captivity and rear them by hand, and the wild pairs that we collect these young from will then lay new eggs, create new young, and by the end of the season, the pairs that we collected from have the same reproductive rates. So every bird that we raise in captivity is essentially a bonus, an extra bird that the population wouldn't otherwise have. And to raise these birds, the San Diego Zoo it's a program in situ on Rhoda. So all this work is being done on Rhoda with local support. And the zoo program, the rear and release, I would say they have 6 to 8 people. Raising these baby birds is a lot of work. They get fed once an hour when they first hatch. They're fed from dawn till dusk with tiny, tiny little forceps. And then as they get older and their eyes open, we work to make sure they know they're wild birds. We use puppets, a crow puppet, to feed them and hide ourselves behind costumes once they start opening their eyes. So it's quite a labor-intensive process. And then they're moved out to these aviaries where they're free-flighted and they can start learning to forage on native plants and animals.
And so how many crows are in captivity and how many are in the wild of these, of all the pairings you talked about?
So you mean the wild pairs or the?
Yeah, what's the population for captivity and the wild?
Well, since we rear the crows just to release them, and we just had a release of 23 individuals, we only have 4 individuals in captivity right now, and we have released a total of 85 individuals since 2015, most of which are still alive.
And what is the biggest threat to the aga when we're talking about, it's the threat to its population on Rota?
You know, that's a really good question. And you would think that, you know, having been there researching this and asking this question since 2005, that's when UW originally came on, that we would have an answer by now. And we're getting closer, but we still don't have a complete picture of what's causing such high mortality rates. Most nests fail. It's really hard to tell what's happening, what's causing the eggs to disappear. Is it a predator? Is it a disease? We have a new project right now to see if we can get cameras looking down inside the nests, because we're hoping that might be a way to determine why so many nests fail. And then a lot of young birds die. And what we know so far is basically that there's something in the environment that's causing an extreme immune response in these birds. And this immune response, like you can sort of think of it as an autoimmune type thing, is creating so much inflammation in their bodies that it actually kills them. But what we can't figure out yet is, what is this thing in the environment? We know it's in the environment because when we bring these birds into captivity and raise them in captivity on Rota, they don't die of this this inflammation. So that's a puzzle we're still working on.
And what do the next few years or even months look like? Are we within reach of delisting as an endangered species? What are the metrics? What are the goals in the next few years?
Yeah, so one of the major criteria for downlisting the species is to have 75 breeding pairs. So that's 75 pairs that, you know, produce eggs that hatch. On Rota is our first step, of course, and then a second population somewhere else. Ideally, that would be Guam, if the tree snake can be controlled to the extent that crows can be reintroduced there. If not Guam, perhaps one of the northern islands. But we have gotten so much closer to that goal since I've been there on Rota, you know, from 46 pairs and a population that is possibly still declining to 71 pairs and increasing year after year. You can see that we're close to that 75 pair mark on Rota. And we do still need to solve the problem of reproduction. Not all of those 71 pairs are reproducing successfully. So that's where the nest cameras come in to try to solve that problem. But I would say that we've made huge progress, and I can see the path to actually delisting this bird.
And so for delisting, it would go from endangered to what would be the down?
I think it could go to threatened.
Okay.
If it was not endangered, yeah. But I'm actually not an expert on the policy end of it.
Okay.
Just on the let's increase this population, and you know, it's better for the birds, obviously, for them to have a healthy population. It's better for the people of Rota to be more relaxed and feel comfortable that there aren't going to be endangered species regulations holding up their land. So yeah, it's really just better all around.
All right. Anything else you think the people should know? Anything else with the program that you'd like to add that I didn't ask about?
Yeah, I'd love to add that we are always looking for local people, for Rotanese or people from Saipan or Guam or Tinian, to join our crew. We have field technicians who do the part in the jungle. We have zoo team technicians who raise the baby birds. And if anyone is interested, if they could contact us, we are always looking for local people to get involved. And ultimately, my goal with this program, I love Rhoda. It's my home and I could stay there forever. But if I don't stay there forever, the thing that will make me feel like I have succeeded is to be able to pass this program on to the people of Rhoda.
The follow-up program under the PSS hasn't been treated equally with the Chamorro program. I hate standing here to bring this to your attention. And every time we ask for something, the legislature did not give us the amount that we needed to hire more follow-up teachers.
Amid the public school system's budget hearing at the CNMI legislature, supporters of the Chamorro Carolinian Language and Heritage Studies program voiced their frustrations over the lack of equity over the years.
Year after year, I've been hearing there is no money to hire teachers, Carolinian teachers. No one is applying, but yet when I speak to the community, there have been people that are applying. I've been hearing there are no qualified applicants, but yet the qualifications and the certifications are person to person.
CNMI PSS told KUAM in a previous interview that there are 40 Chamorro and 16 Carolinian teachers and instructors. That doesn't include teacher aides. Some community members called on lawmakers to conduct an oversight hearing.
I humbly request that the Ways and Means Committee hold PSS accountable for greater transparency, follow-through, and adherence to the constitutional mandate, particularly in regards to the poorly funded, understaffed, and overlooked CCLHS program and the Carolinian bilingual teachers.
The Commissioner of Education said they're working with various stakeholders.
As we speak, we are currently conducting courses to certify future Carolinian teachers, an important project that we have been collaborating on since my arrival early this year.
Buenos dias and Lesor Mamay, Hafaday, and Tiro. My name is Nasima Uden, and I am here with my community members of the Rofalawash community, Carolinian community. As a parent with fellow teachers, educators, past and present leaders. I am here to also state and reiterate the importance of our language and our culture. We are all the children of the CNMI. The CNMI has 3 official languages: English, Chamorro, and Carolinian. Somehow, along the way, we forgot about that. Our CCLHS program, specifically the Carolinian program, is failing. From what it was to what it is now is very sad to see. We have to stay true to our roots. Look at our flag, look at the lands that we live in, and teach our children how not to forget who they are and wherever they go in this world, where they come from. Why is that important? It builds courage. It instills values. And it makes you stay grounded as a person. It helps you make decisions along the way. I am here because year after year, I've been hearing there is no money to hire teachers, Carolinian teachers. No one is applying. But yet, when I speak to the community, there have been people that are applying. I've been hearing there are no qualified applicants. But yet the qualifications and the certifications are person to person.
And before we close out the show, here's a preview of our interview with Senate President Edith de Leon Guerrero as she discusses her re-election campaign.
You know, again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier about being transparent and accountable to the people. When I chose to run initially, I said to myself, I will offer myself to the people. I don't take anything other than what I earn every 2 weeks since serving the people in the Commonwealth. I don't take down any monthly allowance, which is money taken down that is not taxable, besides the salary being earned by elected officials. I don't drive around with publicly funded transportation. I pay my own. I use my own money for my own gasoline, my own telephone. And I think why I share that is because that is very important. When everything else is being looked at financially and the suffering is right before our eyes, and we know that the budget is not there for us to fund everything else that we are obligated to fund, when people are losing their jobs or facing reduction of hours for work, but then you have all the other luxuries of another branch of government that is taking this down, that are not being transparent about. To me, that is unfair for the citizens out there that are trying to pick and choose who would be best to represent them, who would be best to represent their interests and their care, and how can they get a better life. That is, to me, very important that the people should know about. And I mentioned about leadership account. There's other accounts that as elected officials would get funded. For example, we are members of a delegation, and so we also get that extra funding. But it's how do elected officials spend those kind of monies that are not being reported out to the public? That is very important. Besides our salary, which is, we are paying taxes on that. But what about the other, I call them passive income accounts that are not being seen by the public? But yet we face all of these dilemmas financially, and we're not talking about those things transparently and being accountable. I think that's very important.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.